Welcome to a very special live episode of Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Thursday, August 29th. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Akron game in just 2 days. The game against Michigan in 93 days. Joined by Tony Gerdeman of BuckeyeHuddle.com. Tony, we just finished up our last interview session of the week. Heading into the first game of the season, it feels like it'll feel like about 2.5 weeks, and we'll be talking about the fact that, boy, it's cold in here instead of being about 9,000% humidity. But start of the season, just 2 days away now. Get a chance to talk to Ryan Day. Any big takeaways? He, is never going to – everyone always wants to know about injuries.
Yeah.
He never wants to talk about injuries. What was your biggest takeaway, I guess, from talking to Ryan Day?
Well, and I guess we could start with the injuries and that there are no long-term things, but he did hint towards there's some things that we're going to have to figure out towards the end of the week about some game day calls. But, I'm looking forward to Jeremiah Smith finally playing, and then Ryan Day can maybe talk about him some more. But then also he's still going to be like, well, look, I know he had 13 catches for 240 yards, but I don't want to go overboard, and I don't want to build up the hype for something. It wouldn't be fair to him. But you can tell he's just looking forward to seeing, as he said, we've got a lot of guys that came back, and I'm looking forward to seeing them. But we also got some new guys, meaning Will Howard, Caleb Downs, Quinshon Judkins, that he's also looking forward to seeing because he gets to see him in practice. You kind of want to show them off to all of your friends, though, as well in Ohio Stadium.
Well, it feels like we've been talking about these guys and seeing these guys and talking to these guys forever at this point. I mean, we started talking to some of these guys back in January, February on National Signing Day, and we've seen him go all the way through spring practice, all the way through fall camp. It's hard to believe, but the last time this team stepped on the field for a game that actually meant anything, we were down in Arlington, Texas. It did not go particularly well. Boy, howdy, have a lot of things changed around the Ohio State football program since then. This is, there's always sort of it's just Akron, who really cares? Ryan Day talked about the fact, and this is something that I think Ryan Day talked about the fact you only get 12 regular season games. Jack Sawyer talked about the fact you only get 8 more home games in Ohio Stadium. So this is one that, it's easy for everyone to kind of hand wave and whatever. It's just Akron. They have to say it. It's the right thing to say, but also you sort of get the sense that they really do mean it, that they know they've got to finish the drill 12 times this regular season.
Leave no doubt, as Ryan Day says, but he's also talking about how they're focused on themselves. And if you're truly focused on yourselves, you're working to maintain a standard. And it doesn't matter who you're playing against. They want everybody to grade out as many people as possible to grade out as champions, over 80% grades. And that is regardless of who you're playing. So the fact that Akron is coming to town and they're a 50-point underdog shouldn't impact how hard somebody plays, how effective they are, or the idea that, I'll wait until Michigan State or I'll wait until Iowa when the season really starts. These guys have been.
That's Kevin Noon's approach. That's not.
Hi, Kev.
Am I catching shrapnel?
It says this side toward enemy. I don't know what to tell you.
But as you said, there are only so many of these. But also, this is the last time they're doing it. There are many reasons to want to be out there and be as effective as possible, not even including the draft stuff, like the NFL stuff. But things did not go as well as they wanted last year. And so, to ever let your foot off the gas this year, I think it's a mistake.
Yeah. We're going to give the folks watching right now live and then watching right now not live, I'm going to give you a little bit of homework right now. Not homework, just two things. Number one, hit that thumbs up button. That will be a helpful thing. Number two, Tony gave me a great trivia question while we were sitting waiting for interviews. I want you to try and put your answers in the chat on this one. Okay. Tony, what was the question? And then we'll give people the answer in maybe 5-10 minutes.
So the question is, name the last 2 Ohio State true freshman wide receivers to catch a touchdown in the season opener. And do we need to give them a year range? Or
go ahead and give them the year range that you went back to.
Since, I went all the way back to 2009. But
no, that's enough. That's enough information. So since 2009, 2 true freshmen, 2
wide receivers,
true freshman wide receivers, not Trevian Henderson.
Right.
2 true freshman wide receivers have caught touchdown passes in their first game of their career as true freshman wide receivers for Ohio State. Name them in the chat. I thought it was a great question. I guessed wrong several times. Eventually did get it right.
Well, process of elimination.
Yeah, eventually I ran out of Ohio State wide receivers. Tippy Dye? No, he was a quarterback, and he also played 100 years ago. Yeah, and that wasn't him. So, okay, so there's your Jeremiah Smith adjacent trivia. I get a chance to talk to Cody Simon for quite a while, and this was I turned this interview right around, threw it on our YouTube channel, put it right up on our board at Buckeye Huddle, because it was really interesting, because I think there's, of the 100,000 different things that are different about college football this year, the helmet communications is one of them. It's not necessarily the single biggest one, but it's going to be something that really impacts the game quite a bit. And we got a chance to talk to him for, I think, about the third time in 2 weeks. So that meant there weren't a lot of other questions. We could really kind of dive deep on the helmet communication piece of things. I asked him, we've heard about the helmet communication cutting off at 15 seconds. We know that. When did it start? And what does that process, what is that span of time like? And he said, really, as soon as the previous play is over, it basically comes back on.
It's just like breaker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got your ears on. Breaker. What would his? You think about what his CB handle would be as number 0.
Simon says,
not bad. I don't hate it. Okay. And we have another thing we've got to talk about later, where we came up with I don't know, nicknames for something. I don't remember what it was.
Nick McClarty.
Oh, Nick McClarty.
Come up with your own nicknames.
Your own Nick McClarty nicknames. Tony and I both have our own. We'll come up with those. The Australian punter with the big leg. So we'll maybe talk about those in the chat a little later on as well. But Simon said that. See, I just did it. Simon said that it comes on basically right at the end of the previous play, and you're going to get your play call relatively quickly, because you kind of know down and distance. Where the ball is, where it is on the field, all that kind of stuff. So you're going to get your play call relatively quickly. Then you got to be able to sort of explain that, get that out to everyone else, and then it's going to cut off again at 15 seconds. I was trying to figure out, is it you get the play call and then they shut up for 10 seconds so that you can communicate that out, and then they're going to say, hey, watch X guy. It doesn't sound like that's necessarily the case on every play. You may get a little bit of something, but the other thing that was really interesting was he said with the crowd noise, that might mess with things a little bit. Normally, you have the defense trying to get the crowd loud when the other team's on offense. Now, maybe that's not so great for the defense. And they've got to kind of see. They've worked with crowd noise in practice, but you never know until it's really on the field. And really, I'm sure people will be very excited for the Ohio State-Akron game. The crowd noise inside Ohio Stadium is not going to be what the crowd noise inside Ohio Stadium on the Saturday after Thanksgiving is like. So, and it's not going to be what the crowd noise in Eugene, Oregon is like when they're on the road. So, that's something they're going to kind of continue to work through, but it's they've spent a lot of time talking about it. They've spent a lot of time working with it. He seems reasonably comfortable around it, but I think there's a certain amount of you think but then you'll go out on the field and then you'll find out. And he said one thing that really does mess with you is sometimes it goes out. Like it's not 100% reliable all the time.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons Jim Knowles talked about. You teach all of these players for when things go poorly. Like you prepare them for these situations, because you can only give them so many answers, and they have to have the rest when things break down. Same with the quarterback. You've got to you've got to make this a good play. You've got to get me out of this bad play. With the communication, I'm sure there are times where they're not going to hear anything, but it's good to have a 5th-year senior middle linebacker who knows the defense, is trusted by everybody, to be that extra coach, essentially. Like you can signal it in, but if things are going haywire, there's not as much panic, because and I think it's good that they've also experienced the communications going out, and I wouldn't be shocked if some of that is done on purpose in terms of just cut it off and let's see what happens. So I think you need to prepare for those sorts of things. It's like playing with the dunking the football in a bucket of water when you were getting ready for some rain, which you might this weekend.
You might. I looked at the hour by hour, and it didn't look particularly daunting, and it doesn't seem to rain in Ohio anymore. So we'll see. 80 degrees and rain, I would probably take that at this point. You're talking about cutting the radios off unintentionally. It kind of reminds me, when people are learning to fly a plane, like the instructors will sometimes just say, okay, your engine just stalled, and shut off the engine. Now, okay, now you got to start. You just got to kind of deal with the adversity, deal with the oops, this isn't working like it's supposed to. Surprise! Now what do you do?
Yeah, it reminds me of driver's ed. When our driver's ed teacher, there's like 4 of us in the car, not including him, so like 4 students, and one of the gal in the back seat fell asleep, and so he's in the passenger seat. He's like, just hold on, guys. And he slams on the brakes and he yells, and that's a lesson to not fall asleep in a car.
You're allowed to fall asleep in the back seat.
No, that's not what driver's ed. Defensive driving, defensive sleeping, like you cannot do it. You cannot fall asleep in the back seat, or else somebody's gonna slam on the brakes and scream, ruin your nap.
Man, you hate to have a good nap ruined,
especially in the car.
Get a chance to talk to Emeka Egbuka, correct?
Yes.
What was I was not over there. I was over talking to Cody Simon. What did Emeka Egbuka have
Well,
to
and
say?
he's another guy that we've talked to a bunch. So I was asking him about kick returning because Ryan Day did mention who the number 1 kick returner is going to be.
Did he say Jaden Ballard?
He did.
Okay.
So that's and then Carnell Tate will be the second guy. And so I asked Emeka, do you miss returning kicks? He's like, sometimes, but he's like, it can be scary back there because it's the hardest he's ever been hit is as a kick returner. And it was his freshman season. So he got hit with the crown of a helmet, like on his thigh, and he wasn't walking right for, the rest of the week. And I think he missed the rest of that game. But the key, I said, so what's the key to being effective? Because he was like 29 yards per kick return as a freshman. He said, just don't hesitate, just go straight, and then make your decisions after that. But get upfield immediately. And then he was asked about being a punt returner. He's like, which is worse? Which is scarier? And he's like, the punt return, because it's more difficult. You pretty much know where the kick is going, and on a kickoff. With a punt, the wind takes it. So there's just so many variables, and you've got guys, bearing down on you. That you have that with kickoff return, but you also have a little bit more room to get ready for that. But yeah, his advice was get upfield, and we have not really talked about Jaden Ballard as a kickoff returner, but he's arguably the fastest guy on the team. So I mean, that's interesting to me. That they want to go with that.
Yeah, and I'm not really surprised that you'd not have someone like Emeka Egbuka or someone like Jeremiah Smith or Trevion Henderson or someone like that.
Smart.
Yeah, it's there's no reason. You have other guys who can do this. You're not relying on the kick return to set you up with great field position every time. That has always felt like the smart thing to do.
And another thing is, like, this gives Jaden Ballard an opportunity to do more things. Because when talking with Emeka, he's like, I knew I wasn't going to play much as a receiver as a freshman. I considered myself a kick returner as a true freshman. And that's where he focused his job. That's where he took ownership of that. So I think this is an opportunity for maybe Jaden Ballard to do the same. Like, yes, I'm a receiver. I'm going to play receiver, but I am also the kick returner. And that is my job, and I'm going to take it seriously.
Yeah, I know Jack Sawyer was out there at the end as
Punt
well.
Returner.
Probably not. He has played quarterback in his football career, not at Ohio State, but in Pickerington as a high school player. High school senior, did play quarterback because his team needed him to. He was maybe getting a little bit into a nostalgic mood a little bit heading into his final season. Said he went back and watched some film from his freshman year with him and Tyleik Williams and JT Tuimoloau. And I'm going to use a parenthetical here, but holy parentheses, smokes, we've come a long way. And I mean, yeah, it's been 4 years, and yeah, they've progressed quite a bit as a group. But you look at just pictures of him as a freshman, and he looks like a little kid. And now he's 4 years older, and has obviously put on quite a bit of bulk over those 4 years. He is someone who I think could be one of the defining players of this year's Ohio State defense, because you could look at just about any level of the Ohio State defense and go, yeah, man, Denzel Burke could be the guy, or Caleb Downs could be the guy, or Tyleik Williams, or Sonny Styles. I mean, and you could pick someone just about anywhere. Jack Sawyer feels like the way he ended last season and the way it sounds like and seems like he's approaching this season, this could be a year when I'm not expecting Chase Young numbers or anything, Joey Bosa numbers, anything like that, but he could put up the kind of season that you haven't seen here in a few years.
Yeah, and I think I always go back to, like, if just give us a Sam Hubbard, Tyquan Lewis, all Big Ten defensive end type of season. You can't expect a Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, Chase Young. I did kind of chuckle when he was talking about reminiscing. He's like, and then the kids today. It's like I was about to yell out, "Okay, Boomer!" Like he's like 21, 22, but he looks like he's a grizzled veteran at this point. Been around. He's seen some things, Tom.
He's seen some things,
but he's obviously very excited to get out there. And as you said, eight games in Ohio Stadium. I remember when Jim Tressel, for his seniors, would have them gave all of the seniors 12 marbles.
Yeah.
And they would have to take a marble out every game.
And then there was a blue one. Yep.
And so it's like you saw your season going away and the diminishing as you removed each marble, and you just have that the blue one remaining. I thought that was a nice touch back then, but they're clearly, they know what the story is here.
Yeah, there's not much question, and all these guys came back for the same thing that they have been talking about all year, the three goals they talk about every year that they have not hit yet in their careers: beating Michigan, winning the Big Ten, winning the national championship. They are 0 for 9 so far, looking to go 3 for 3 this year. This is a really little thing, and it might be me reading too much into this, but we hear all the time about how close this team is, and that's you hear that all the time. But as we were waiting for interviews and watching the guys walking in, and there were, there's an offensive lineman and he's walking and he's joking with a linebacker, and there's a defensive back and he's walking and joking with, it was a running back or something like that. It's not just the guys in their rooms. It does feel like and they have always sort of made a point to do that, to have guys room with a guy on offense, will room with a guy on defense on trips or on camp or whatever it is. But it was just one of those little things that I just kind of just kind of an interesting thing that, offensive coaches joking with defensive players who are not, it's not like a star player. It's just a guy on the other side of the ball, but someone they wouldn't necessarily have to talk to, but just choosing to.
And like we've seen, Jelani Thurman will sit in on anybody's interview. Hero Canoe does the same thing where they're around.
Got a super chat?
Super chat, Murphy Serafino, sack leader predictions for the season.
So super chat from Murphy Serafino, sack leader predictions for the season.
With numbers.
Okay.
That's my super chat.
Do you want to go first? I have a name. If you have listened to the last 3 minutes of the show, you can probably guess the name that I'm thinking.
I'm going to go Jack Sawyer as well. And when you were talking about him earlier, I'm thinking, what is a good season? 9.5 is the number that if you hit that, then anything after that is a bonus.
I'm laughing because in my head I thought 10. I thought no.
That's what I was like. No,
9.5.
10's a lot. 9.5 is enough.
Sometimes, Tony, I think that we've done this for too long.
Go Mets. Yep.
Yes, we definitely have done this too long. Trey, were you over for any of Trayvon Henderson? I was not.
Just a little bit. I went over to ask him what it's like to have to deal with Caleb Downs as an offensive guy, and he's a guy that makes plays all over the field. I asked the same thing of Emeka Egbuka, how does he impact the passing game? It's just like he impacts the entire offense. You have to know where he is, and he can be everywhere. And then I was like, does he impact you personally? Do you need to know where he is? It's like, yeah, you're aware, but you also have your own guy that you're dealing with. And so I just think, and I asked Cody Simon, can this defense be more aggressive because they have him back there? He's like, well, it just depends on what Jim Knowles wants to do. We know Jim Knowles wants to be more aggressive, and he can be more aggressive because he has Caleb Downs back there. But also, Caleb Downs is going to be some of that aggression at times as well. So,
there's a monitor in front of me, and I keep looking up and going, "What is that on the wall behind me?" It's the sun shining through the door at a weird angle. All right, so we gave you some homework a few minutes ago. First of all, if you have not hit the thumbs up button already, please do that. Second of all, if you have not submitted your Nick McClarty Australian punter nicknames, please do that. Tony, let people know the last two true freshmen to score a touchdown, last two true freshman wide receivers to score a touchdown in their first game at Ohio State.
The most recent was Jackson Smith and Jigba in 2020 against Nebraska. The one after that was Devin Smith in 2011 against
the Akron Zips.
And as we know, every game that Devin Smith caught a touchdown pass in, Ohio State won. So let that be a tease, an idea as to whether or not Ohio State won that game against Akron.
I think Joe Bauserman had 6 touchdown passes in that game. Is that correct? I feel like that might be right.
6? No.
Was it 6? No.
No,
No?
because Kenny Guyton set the record with 6
Okay.
in like 2013.
Okay, 4.
Maybe.
He had some number of touchdown passes. So if Will Howard can at least match that number, we will know that Will Howard is at least as good a quarterback as Joe Bowserman. We have a super chat.
Yes, El Suzabo. My Nick McClarty name is, quote unquote, the Thunder from Down Under.
Okay, Sue with the fantastic name, the Thunder from Down Under, Outback Steakhouse themed, which bonus points, I think, for that. It would be the Chocolate Thunder from Down Under, one of the desserts at the Outback Steakhouse.
That's
yes.
correct.
I think that's very smooth transition
Okay.
into mine, which is also Outback Steakhouse themed. Called him Tony, the Boomin' Onion.
Kevin is booing at his computer right now. He's like booing at the chat, like facing the chat and booing.
Tony had a very good one, but it's one of those where this is going to be like a real niche.
It's
kind
inside
of,
baseball.
It's a kind of niche joke, but it's a strong one.
So mine is, I don't even know how to, it's Toe Milton, which we know. It's a play on Joe Milton, who could throw the ball 100 yards, but can't necessarily do it 15 yards accurately.
Didn't necessarily know where it was going.
Right, and so that's kind of what we've seen with Nick McClarty earlier in the month. Where you'd watch him, and it would, 70 yards far and wide, but sometimes not. And so that's why I went with Joe Milton. I like it, but again, as I told you before, the explanation takes a little bit out of it. Like you could say Boomin' Onion, and people are like, oh, I get it. But if I were to maybe I need to come up with a nickname based around like Applebee's or something like. I got nothing. Boneless riblets. Good day, mate.
Punting good in the neighborhood. I don't. No.
Why didn't you do any of this in your Australian accent?
Well,
too hot.
Definitely too hot. Yeah.
Yes.
Do you know how hot it gets in Australia? Come on.
I thought you meant you're too hot when you do an Australian accent.
Yes, that's definitely what I meant. Kevin, you didn't like ours. Do you either? Okay, Kevin. The haters.
Yeah.
They just want to tell you that's bad. That's bad. Do you have anything to add? No.
Internet culture.
Do the viewers at home have suggestions on great Nick McClarty nicknames?
The Mountain, Nick the Kick.
Okay. The Mountain, Nick the Kick. All right.
I think as we were kind of getting through the topic, I kind of got through a couple that I starred in there.
How about Mad Wax?
What's the wax for?
He's whacking the ball every whack.
Mad Wax. Okay, so
like W-A-C-K.
Okay, W-H-A-C-K. Yes.
Like a bad.
Not
like a W-A-X. Okay. Toe Milton, probably still your best work. Sorry.
That's too much insight.
Yeah, I agree. But no, for the people who understand, it's quality.
Yeah, it's good.
The Boomin' Onion is sadly growing on me.
Oh, there we go. Kevin giving his 2 thumbs up approval. I think he's entering a super chat right now to thank me for the Boomin' Onion.
How about donkey sauce? If we're sticking with restaurant themes, it has nothing to do with Australia.
It has nothing to do with Australia or punting.
But still, it's food-based, restaurant-based. And
okay.
A has a restaurant in Columbus.
Okay, if we keep doing with food-based nicknames, what is his level of height? Small, medium, or large?
Large.
Okay. How about Big Mac? If we're going with food nicknames.
McKicken, but he's not Scottish, as far as we know.
McKicken isn't bad. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. We made it. Do you remember when you did your Beanie Wells stiff arm naming contest?
Yeah, back in 2006,
7. Yeah. Okay, Billy Tuesday has one.
How about the Crocodile Punter?
The Crocodile Punter. I like it.
That's pretty good.
I like it. Yeah.
So for me, that's the best one so far because I don't want to admit that yours is. So that one, I like the Crocodile Punter. I'm going to use that. Go ahead and shut this chat down, delete the records of that, and I will coin that tomorrow on Twitter.
That'll be great. Yeah. I do before we move on from the Beanie
Wells. We're not moving on.
No. But because we hit the Beanie Wells, I just want to give you credit for maybe the single funniest thing you've ever come up with.
Okay.
I assume you came up with it. If not, please just take credit for it. The BD Wells stiff arm nickname was Pushy Galore. That is.
I didn't know. I did not take.
Was that not you?
That was not me. That was submitted, and yes,
that was one of those things where it's like, well, there's a lot of good. Oh no, that's it. That's the winner right there.
But the winner was the varsity club.
No, it was not. I'm going to demand a recount. Only person in America that's going to do that this year. Kevin, yes.
Chad, Serafino, over under pickles consumed by Kevin this season.
Over under the number of pickles consumed by Kevin this season. See, it feels like there's two different answers here. One is 0.5 and one is 250.
Here's the thing, Tom.
One
I had this question a few weeks back when I solicited for some viewer questions. I didn't get to this one, but I prepared for it.
Okay. Oh, good. Well,
so I was like, okay, so we're talking about road trips. How many in a meal? Because it's just pickles whenever. It's not pickles in one sitting. And it's like, well, you're not going to have any at breakfast. Lunch, possibly. Dinner, almost certainly. And how many of those? And then also, how many in Ohio Stadium? We're probably going to get hamburgers maybe twice. And he might throw a pickle on there. Or how many
hamburgers have you seen me eat in Ohio Stadium?
That's true. So I'm going to bring my number down. But anyway, after all of the math, all of the road trips, I came up with 50.5 for a season.
Under.
You're talking 3 on a burger.
I mean, what if we go somewhere like the place in Wisconsin that had like all the great bar food and like $4 steaks or whatever? What if I get a basket of fried pickles?
Well, and here's the thing also. I'm going to be ordering pickles just so I can hit that number.
Yeah, well, but it's just by him. You can't make him. You can't make him.
Get it for the table.
Yeah, you can get it for the table.
And then Tom, get your hands out of there. So 50.5, that's what I came up with. Because we're talking, again, 16 games, and there's a lot in the road trips. There's going to be.
But none of the road trips go to like pickle.
We're only going to.
But every road trip, every stop in a drive-through is at least 3 pickles.
I think you're dramatically overestimating A, the number of road games this year, and B, the number of pickles that he
on a burger
consumes.
We don't
get that many burgers. I think
I'm taking. You don't love Burger King?
I'm taking the under.
Am I thinking of the wrong guy?
I'm taking the under here.
Right. Well, now I have a mission.
Tony, what's the first line of the Burger King song? Hold the pickles. It's literally the first thing. Hold the pickles, hold the lettuce. Special orders. Don't upset us. Something, 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 something. Have it your way.
What does this have to do with Ohio State football?
Oh, right. That's right. That's what we're here to talk about. I forgot. Sorry.
Feels like a Friday already.
It does feel like a Friday already. Do we have questions that we should? Okay. Thank you.
I'm going to jump right to this one while you guys are yucking it up from Sage, Ohio. When is the prediction show?
When is the prediction show? The bold prediction show?
Yeah.
That is going to be on Thursday. Are we doing that recorded or live?
Well, I mean, that's up to you.
We're going to do it on Thursday. We'll see. We'll see if we do.
If we do it live, we'll
let you know. Yeah.
Fly a plane banner.
This is a good time to remind you that you need to be subscribed to our YouTube channel and also to hit the bell so you get notified when we do these live shows. And if you have not hit the bell recently, you might want to click it once, and if it turns off, then click it again to turn it back on, just to make sure YouTube knows that you really do mean it.
I'm already angry about tomorrow's bold predictions because I'm already getting annoyed by it.
The annoying thing is going to be there is basically nothing we can say about Jeremiah Smith that the other will allow. We almost have to just sort of outlaw the Jeremiah Smith, or we just have a separate Jeremiah Smith one that we have to give each other as.
We'll see.
Okay.
Aaron Taylor, let's hope the helmet audio radio is encrypted.
Let's hope the helmet audio radio is encrypted. I'm going to guess that it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be
certainly,
or it's one channel and you're not allowed on this channel or you can't access it. This has been going on in the NFL for forever, so I don't think it's going to be a concern, or else they wouldn't be doing it.
Next one here, Ohio State hype videos. Is Styles or Hicks starting, or both?
So are Sonny Styles or CJ Hicks starting, or both? And I guess so. If you're assuming that Cody Simon is out there, then the answer is Sonny Styles.
Yep.
Because they're not going to probably be in 3 linebackers. If there are 3 linebackers, then the answer is both. Assuming Cody Simon is out there, then it's Sonny Styles. If Cody Simon is not out there for some reason, then it would be probably both. It would be Sonny Styles at the mic and CJ Hicks at the wheel.
I agree. Good answer, Tom.
But did it make our survey?
Murphy Serafino, it better not storm Saturday.
It better not storm Saturday. Well, Tony, let me check the weather app. I will tell you, as a professional youth sports person, I have come to learn that the AccuWeather forecast,
64, 57% chance of rain.
the AccuWeather app is generally the most accurate in terms of precipitation.
Hence the Accu.
Accu.
And
well,
weather.
I in particularly to do with the weather, with the precipitation. Yeah, 55% chance of rain. A morning thunderstorm in parts of the area, otherwise mostly cloudy and not as hot, but humid. So 82 degrees, 55% precipitation. The real feel, Tony, 88 degrees. That's I'm not thrilled about the real feel being 88 degrees down on the field, because the field turf is generally going to the field turf is going to generally add about 10 degrees to that.
Those shower curtains don't breathe, dude.
They do not breathe. No. So yes, we have had many different season opener weathers. This is going to be seemingly one of the hotter varieties, but doesn't seem like it's going to be an all day rain or any of that kind of thing.
Jordan Kapler. So I made a bold prediction that Ohio State will have 3 shutouts this year. I can see Akron being one of those. If it comes true, I promise to donate 500 of Tom's dollars to Tony's Ketchup Fund.
All I heard was Jordan Kapler predicted 3 shutouts, and Akron potentially going to be one of them. Yeah, I mean, this is one where if you're going to get to 3, you really want it. This is one of the ones that you.
Yeah. Yes.
If you
don't want to go chasing 3 shutouts.
If you do this in terms of win, win probability, where you add up the win probabilities, and that kind of gets you to your 10.6 wins or whatever it is, your shutout probability to get to 3. This is probably about a 0.5 or a 0.6. You really want to get this one to be ahead, because otherwise you're really chasing the rest of the season.
This is the most likely shutout of the year for a number of reasons. So if you miss this one, good luck.
Yeah.
I'll still take that 500 to Tom's Bucks.
All right. Next one here, Andrew Steele. Is there a loss on the schedule this year for us? Where do you see that being most likely?
Okay, so is there a loss on the schedule for Ohio State? I will give you my standard boring answer, which is you never pick a team to go undefeated, because the odds are is you're going to learn, even a team that is favored by a touchdown or more in every game is on average going to just have one of those days and lose one. You don't go undefeated during the regular season all that often. So I'm going to say they do lose one. Most likely, I guess, is probably at Oregon. That's essentially a coin flip. I think the point spread's a point or 1.5, one direction or another. After that, Penn State probably at Penn State, and then Michigan third maybe. But it feels like Oregon's 50%, Penn State's 25 or 30, Michigan's maybe 15 or 20, and then everything else is less than that.
Yeah, I think the real question is Penn State or Michigan for number 2, and usually you choose the road team.
Yep.
El Suzabo, are there any cornfields around the stadium where Tom has to worry about corn sweat?
So are there any cornfields around the stadium where Tom has to worry about corn sweat? If you did not see, there's a meteorologist from, I think, Baton Rouge, who put up a humidity map across the United States, and it's humid in Florida and it's humid in the Pacific Northwest. And then there's a big blob of green over Iowa. And he said, if you're wondering what that is, it's the water evaporating from corn, known as corn sweat, which is, Tony, I have lived in the Midwest for pushing 30 years now, and I had never heard that phrase. And I've got to tell you, it's not one of my favorites.
Have you ever run around like a legit cornfield? Not even this corn maze stuff, but have you ever spent time in a cornfield?
I have not like run through a cornfield. There was for a number of years right down the hill from my house, a big cornfield. And there are cornfields just west of campus in Upper Arlington. I think it might be the Ohio State agricultural little
Mhm.
plot out there over on Kenny Road. So there are cornfields, but not, I don't think large enough to create a meteorological phenomenon of corn sweat.
So you never got to hang out in a cornfield on the other side of a ditch at night and throw ears of corn at passing cars?
I did not.
Hmm.
I'm hoping that
City boy.
I'm hoping that the statute of limitations has run out on that for you, and that is not something that you did last weekend. But
Next question.
next question.
This question I'm going to pose to Tony from Jordan Kapler. Would you rather watch a cooking show with Kevin and Lincoln Riley, or a show about the benefits of punting inside the 40 with Tom and Kirk Ferentz?
Would I rather watch a cooking show with Lincoln Riley and Kevin Noon, or a show about the benefits of punting inside the 40 with Tom Orr and Kirk Ferentz? I am taking the punting show 1,000 times. I am sorry, Kevin. This is about torturing Tom, because this show then would have to exist. Your show, I'm doing you a solid, because you don't want to hang out with Lincoln Riley for how long does it take to bake a brisket? A couple hours. So like
18.
But you and Kirk Ferentz,
You got to get it just the right shade of gray.
you and Kirk talking about punting and why it is a good idea, and just seeing the anger and like a vein start popping up, and then this would be quality television. This would be a reason to bring back the DVR. For me, I got rid of mine.
Me just yelling at him about punting, and finally just getting so fed up and being like, well, my son is good at stuff.
And your son is unemployed.
He actually, that is factually incorrect. Do you know where Brian Ferentz is right now?
Culver's?
Arguably.
The world's largest truck stop on I-80 in Iowa?
Very close. Wrong direction. The University of Maryland. He's on the staff as a
I don't think
analyst or something.
Make him an offensive line coach, whatever. Just keep him away from play calling. I mean, it's easy.
Last one I have for now, until we get any more super chats or such. Andrew Steele, which Buckeye do you think has the best shot at a Heisman?
Which Buckeye do we think has the best shot at a Heisman? Now, we're talking about the Heisman Trophy.
Parameters of which year?
Yeah, well,
Uh,
so
we-
that's interesting. No parameters of which year. Okay, well, if we're saying no parameters in terms of which year, the answer is Jeremiah Smith. Next question. It feels like it's a much more interesting question to say this year. Do you disagree with that, by the way?
Well, I would say it's either Julian Sayin or Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah.
Or, hey, don't sleep on James Peoples, but it's going to be a quarterback or somebody with more hype than anybody that they've had, come through here. And everybody's going to know Jeremiah Smith this year and then next year when it really matters.
Everyone is going to know Jeremiah Smith. Everyone already kind of knows.
Yes, exactly.
I was listening to some national college football podcast, and they were already talking about, well,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like he's a given.
Yeah, the secret is out. So I think he's the easiest answer of anyone but this year in particular, I think the easy answer is people will say Will Howard because it's a quarterback and it's really a quarterback award. I'm going to go. I mean, who do you think? Because I'm going to go a little off the board here.
I would say Will Howard because I see people saying Quinshon Judkins, and I know you're going to talk about the running backs. I just think those two can't coexist in a Heisman campaign. Basically, there won't be the numbers there.
Well, and that's why I'm not going to talk about the running backs. This was on our board, and see, wrong again. This was on our board. Someone asked about who was going to finish the highest in the Heisman Trophy voting.
Right.
And I said, hear me out, Caleb Downs.
Okay.
And the reason is I think Will Howard is going to have a good year. I think Will Howard is going to get Ohio State to the level that they want to be in. And, do they finish the drill in all the games? We'll see. But I think he's going to potentially have good but not necessarily insane numbers. Good but not necessarily insane highlights. He's going to be the good, the very good quarterback on what could be a great team, I think. But I don't know that he's going to have the flash, the sizzle, the pizzazz. Yes, to be that Heisman. He's not necessarily going to have the Jaden Daniels kind of season. So my thought on Caleb Downs is I think he's going to have some of those highlight reel plays. He also has the name recognition already. If they end up mixing him in and he gets a touchdown or two on offense or special teams or something like that. You always have the one defensive player.
Right.
Maybe it's Travis Hunter. If Colorado goes 5-7 again, it's not going to be Travis Hunter probably. So you have the one defensive player who's there. He has the name recognition already. He has the team around him. He has the ability to maybe play on more than one side of the ball. I think he's, at least because of the running back splitting the vote, and because Jeremiah Smith's a freshman, and because all the other stuff, I think he's maybe a sneaky, interesting pick for that.
That's a good call, because you have a lot of the voters who are media people talking about their votes. They are like music fans who only listen to indie. Some of them are like they like to pretend they know about music, and so Caleb Downs, they have a defensive guy every year that is their indie music pick.
Yeah.
And so
adjust hipster glasses. You probably haven't heard of him.
Right. I vote for defense.
Yeah.
I always make sure I have a defensive guy in there. I think Travis Hunter transcends that because he's both. So I think there's still room for a defensive only guy. But yeah, it's I'm credible. I'm picking a defender to be third in the Heisman.
Well,
voting.
and with Travis Hunter is Shedeur Sanders. If Colorado has a really good season, you're going to have people gassing up Shedeur Sanders too. So you might split the Colorado vote in the same way that you're talking about splitting the Ohio State running back vote. So we'll see. That's my a little bit off the board pick there, but I think, yeah.
I have one last one. Going back to nicknames for Nick McClarty, Doug Lindsay, Jonah Booker already nailed McClarty nickname, Legatron.
That's pretty good.
That's not bad.
It doesn't play into the whole Australian.
Yeah, right. I think you have to. You either need to do something with him being tall or something with him being Australian. And really, given the history of this show, it feels like the Australian piece should be more.
Yeah, I would agree.
Knifey
Punty.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty good. But I still like
Das Boot.
Crocodile Punter is still very, very, very good.
Crocodile Punter is pretty good. Yeah.
I'm going to go home and tweet about it. And I'll give credit to the show. And Kevin, if you can remind me of who that was. I've forgotten, so I may not be able to give any. I guess it's just me then that creates it.
He just if you couldn't hear, he said, well, I could scroll. ... Just sort of trailed off there. So
I will find out who I will.
3 minutes into this show.
Okay. All right.
All right. So it is almost nap time for Kevin, which means it is wrap up time for us. Thank you guys all for joining us through this meandering voyage through nicknames, some trivia, some things we learned tonight, a little bit of a look ahead to Saturday's game against the Akron Zips. There's going to be plenty more to talk about heading into that game. We'll have our bold prediction show on the Buckeye Weekly podcast feed on Thursday. We'll have a full game show, preview show on Friday on the Buckeye Weekly podcast feed. Planning to have Kevin on tomorrow's morning show to go through his Tale of the Tape piece that he writes for all these games. Real in-depth preview that is member exclusive at BuckeyeHuddle.com. He does that every week. Really well-researched piece. You're going to want to check that out on the Huddle board presented by Jeff Ruby's Columbus at BuckeyeHuddle.com. And you're also going to make sure you join us on Saturday. We'll have our pregame show. We'll have our postgame show. We'll probably have some other content for you. Interviews with players and coaches afterwards. We'll try and have some other behind-the-scenes content for you. That's always a popular thing. All at youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle. So make sure you're subscribed there and join us as well at BuckeyeHuddle.com. That's where Kevin, Tony, and I cover the team. Mark covers recruiting. Got our whole team of X's and O's gurus there to make you a smarter football fan. All at BuckeyeHuddle.com. We hope to see you there. That'll do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We will talk to you tomorrow.